So since we do not have time, what I'm going to do is we'll take the questions in a series of 4. So 4 questions, then allow the team to determine who is going to answer, then we'll get to the next 4. I pray people to, let's ask questions. I know in a revolution like this, people get so passionate. There are issues that people have. Let's take to the process, the Swiss-led process. Any other questions we can take after that?
Mr. Moderator, fellow Ambazonians, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I understand that the moderator asks us that the table is going to decide who answers the question. I'm directing my question directly to Ntumfo and Bo Herbert. And my question goes thus, or my questions goes thus. I'm going to make them a little bit more coalesced so that you can pick apart as best you can, Mr. Ntumfo. Why should we, seated in here, believe in the Swiss process when there are those out there that say that there's a better process still to come? We see them push out the image of Ambassador Cohen, and they tell us that he's going to speak for us. So why should we believe you, Comrade Kometa, Comrade Akwanga, and Comrade Sako, who've been running back and forth to Switzerland, when maybe there's a better way to be led by Mr. Cohen? My next question is, why must we believe and or trust in the Swiss-led process when we know that Mr. Biya has been spending 90, if not 95+% of his time in Switzerland, and he's definitely in bed with the Swiss people? Is it a waste of our time? What about our brothers and sisters back at home who say that federation is the way we should go? And if we get federation, it's going to solve our problem. Should we at least listen to them? Or should we, to piggyback from Comrade Sako, laugh when we watch at them on television today because of what just happened to them in Yaoundé? Thank you very much.
I was going to take the mic from you though. Next question.
Oh, don't take it from me now.
So let's make it brief, like I said.
All right, well, thank you. The first thing I want to say is, please don't take anything personal. The first video on the day of the independence of the Ambazonia, how can I see somebody from Switzerland? He could have been in Kenya for 200 years for all I care. Why you, Mr. Oyibo, I'm sorry, I apologize. Mr. Herbert, is that your name? I apologize, sir. Yeah. You would have done a better job. For me, a Cameroonian. I'm sick and tired of us. Oh, Ambazonia. Well, my senior moments are acting up. You know, how do you come to a hall on the day of the independence and your first video is of a Swiss person after you know how much time Biya spent just to support what he says in Switzerland? For you go to a hotel, one Cameroonian was able to make a difference in Switzerland with his microphone every day in front of that hotel for over 2 years, and was able to change the mentality of how that hotel, they had to almost get Biya out of the hotel before the birth of Ambazonia. You said here that you don't believe in the anthem. Yet, the first person that we see on a day like today, I don't know whether it's Dr. Whoever, I had to turn my face because why can we not believe in ourselves? You guys have able body. And Mr. Herbert, I think you could have done a better job. This is just my humble suggestion. Subsequently, when you come to a meeting your first day, and it has to still be somebody that has oppressed you all your years. They call us shithole countries, they've called us everything. Please, every mother is the CEO of our kitchen. Let's be the CEO of our movement. I know we need international bodies for support, leadership and everything from the background, not from the front line. So I really would appreciate if you can edit that video and put a Cameroonian, oh God, Priscilla, oh, senior moments. I'm an old woman, please forget about my age. You know, put a Cameroonian that is able, an Ambazonian, oh God. And after, I'm too old, I'm sorry. When elderly people talk, that's what happens. So if you can have an Ambazonia be the leader, the voice of the people, not speaking from the background through somebody, we have the capability to make that same video from Ambazonia, with Ambazonia, by Ambazonia to Ambazonians. Please take that's my humble suggestion. Thank you.
Next.
All right, I'll be very brief, unlike the two speakers ahead of me. Actually, my concern is about the unity that Mr. Alexander talked about. So my question to you all is, or my concern is, how are you trying to address the unity? Because from what I see, there's a lot of disunity. I know the larger group is together, but at least we still need the other people around, like the lost sheep. So what are you doing in order to bring the other people who are behind so that they join the rest of you in order that the Swiss-led process can be a total success?
Thank you. Ola.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Comrade Bo and Comrade Kometa made reference to the United Nations vote for Southern Cameroons. In fact, one of them implied that they have told La République du Cameroun to negotiate with Southern Cameroons. At what point did our name revert to Ambazonia? In 1995, I took Foncha, Muna, and the Eastwell Southern Cameroon delegations to the State Department and to the United Nations. At that point, it was Southern Cameroons. At what point did it change to Ambazonia? Have the people back home collectively agreed to that name? If not, why not? Now, this could constitute a division amongst us. If, for instance, La République says Seseko, Ayaba, and the rest are Southern Cameroonians, and that they are the people they want to negotiate with, what do? The idea is that they negotiate with Southern Cameroons. In fact, when we left Nigeria, NCNC became Nigeria and Cameroon, no conflict. The Nigerians, some of them said that the reason why they arrested our leaders was because these people were Ambazonians and that they could not have had any conflict with Southern Cameroons. Not quite long ago, I was with Ambassador Fossong, with Chris Anu, and he insisted on the need for us to be called Southern Cameroons. That in itself would give La République some confidence. That is the name with which they united or with which we united with them. So my point to you, gentlemen, is, wouldn't this constitute a conflict or a diversion or a dissension if La République says, okay, these people say they are Ambazonians, and this group says they are Southern Cameroonians, and they've been told to negotiate with Southern Cameroon, and they negotiate with the said Southern Cameroons. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, please, because of time, let us try to get to the questions, and the reasoning behind, we can take that later. So who's first to go? Dr. Akwanga. The next four, just raise your hand and I'll pull you randomly.
Yes, let me try to be very brief. The first thing I want to say when I came in, I want to respond to our comrade brother. If you will reject a mediated process on the grounds that Mr. Bia spends most of his time in Switzerland, I will ask anyone in this hall to show me one European country that does not have the blood of the African in their hands. One. Let me inform you that Norway came out of Sweden. I was in Ghana of recent, and I discovered that the Elmina Castle was constructed by the Danes and the Norwegians, which means they were involved in the transatlantic slave trade. There is not a single European country that does not have the blood of the African in their hands. There is none. There is something they call benevolent neutrality, and that is what Switzerland holds. If we want a mediation, the state party, which is La République du Cameroun, and the non-state party, which is us, must accept the mediator. If we choose a mediator and the state party rejects, the person will not be a mediator. In fact, that group or country cannot mediate. What came from the US Embassy in Yaoundé today makes it very clear. we can only get involved if both sides gives us that permission. Let us stop running this circle about Switzerland. No. This issue is between us and La République du Cameroun. It is our process. It's not the Swiss process. It is ours because it is us to negotiate. They are mere mediators. In fact, you have the mediator, you have the negotiators, which is going to be us and them, and then you have the guarantors. The guarantors are the most risky ones. For example, the United States, Germany, Canada, Italy, Norway, the European Union and the African Union could become guarantors. The fate of the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka today is in peril because of them turning their back from listening to the advice from their guarantors. So we don't understand this process. That is our problem. And that is why I keep advising that in this process, it is good to ask questions, but don't lecture mathematics when you don't even know arithmetic. That one will be confusing the students. So it is not Switzerland that is the problem. It is us and La République. When we will arrive at the timetable, the agenda for that process, then we are going to know whether we are walking towards sovereignty, restoring that sovereignty, or we are walking into a trap. And the good thing is, you can walk out at any time. There is no gun on your head. That is why negotiation process can take 5 to 10 years. Do you know how many times the South Sudanese and the Sudanese met on the negotiating table and they walk out before they finally agreed on Naivasha? Do you know how many peace agreements they had? Do you know how many the Timor-Leste people had? We Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians should not act as if we come from space. Ours will not be different. And either we are prepared for it or we are prepared for doom. I have to be very frank to everyone here. If we are not careful, we will suffer the fate of the Tamils in Sri Lanka who have been wiped out. They had victory in their hands. And they did the same thing that we are doing like this. And today they are scattered all over the way. They have nothing. Their guarantors allow them to be crushed. We are not talking. We are doing all of this. Most of us here have American passport. Don't be surprised very soon, even without passport, to reach the airport, they say you cannot travel. That is what the guarantor will do to you. They can keep you on house arrest without actually declaring you that you're on house arrest. They are the most risky because they are your guarantor. They are the ones who hold the process. They are the ones who are telling you, do this way. You say, no, I have arms on the ground, I will do it this way. They will be watching you. By the time they remove their hands from your back, you are finished. Let us not pretend as if we are not in the international community. Now, the last issue I want to handle is that of the video. Before we came here, we made it clear that we were coming to discuss on the Swiss process. That is why we are here. We did not come here to dance or to celebrate independence. We wanted to use the 1st of October to make sure we can talk about the Swiss process. So who is that Ambazonian that we should have to replace us in HD? No, it doesn't work that way. There is a difference with what you think and what is real. What you are thinking is not real. It doesn't work that way. HD is the mediator on behalf of the Swiss. The Swiss were given what we call a mandate. We gave the Swiss, not HD, a mandate. La République gave the Swiss a mandate. Let me make it very clear. The IG and the AGC of Ayabato wrote to the Swiss to help find a way to bring peace. By the time that the Swiss went to Mr. Bia and said, this is what is going on, Mr. Bia said, I'm ready. We are not sure they are ready. When they were ready, Agofsi was no longer ready. They are not turning their back. We did not write to them. They wrote to the Swiss and the IG. They gave them the first permission to look for a means to solve this problem. Not even Mr. Bia. They merely went to Mr. Bia because if Mr. Bia said no, it would not work. Let us stop pretending. If we are going to be pretending, we will never have that state called Ambazonia or whatever name we want to call it. We are non-state actors at this moment because that is why we are deceiving ourselves. We are acting as if we already have a country that is existing. Lies. The country is there, but we must have the international community to help us make that country exist. No matter what we look at Somaliland and Portland and the rest, that is a different story altogether. That man who appeared there is the director for the African division for HG, who are the mediators. He is the right person to appear there to explain why we are here. So we cannot have another person to, if we came here to celebrate independence, he will not even appear. We will not be talking what we are saying here. We'll be talking about Ground Zero and everything that we are discussing about. We came here for a purpose, and let us not be misguided. This is the Swiss process. And we are here to understand it. The things I've said, which have not covered the other areas, I am sure that my comrades here will be able to cover it. But I just want to say one last thing. Please, emotion is good, anger is good, and it is justified for what our people have gone through. But the advice is simple. If we are not prepared to negotiate now, others will negotiate on our behalf in the next 20 to 50 years. That is how it works. Ask the Colombians and the FARC rebels, they will tell you that. Everywhere in the world, conflicts end up on the table. But we will decide. Now we are walking to the table. If we walk back, we might not even have the opportunity to be carried to the table. The Tamil, they no longer have that opportunity. They have lost everything. And they stood a better position than even us today. They had arms, they were backed, they have everything. The Timor-Leste, do you know how many countries were backing East Timor? Go, just take your phone. I see most of you have your phones online. They are making quing, quing, quing all over the place. Take your phone, go to Google, type East Timor. You will see the number of countries. Australia, United Kingdom. I'm just giving you the countries that were backing East Timor while they were fighting. Which country is backing us? If we are prepared to free ourselves, we must do what others have done and do it better, because we have an advantage. We learn from their errors and make sure we don't make those mistakes, and then we will go faster. Otherwise, all of this dancing and mufflers and colors, you will not even know where to hide them.
I will never hide my muffler.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Akwanga. I think the queue is already loaded up here, so I'll try to be very quick. Do we have a better process to come? That was a question from Manjong. Is Cohen going to deliver the goods? No, Cohen is not going to deliver the goods. I think he himself has put out a statement saying no. I personally took on Cohen on Twitter because I realized what he was doing. And I chased him down saying, you're not doing the right thing. He defended Eritrea knowing that they did not have any of the resolutions that Ambazonia has. And he interviewed with us to work to defend our process. And when it was time to speak up on behalf of our people, he spoke with the other side of his mouth. And I said it was not correct. And we'll continue to point it out. When he said that it was an error yesterday, I sent out another tweet to say, I expect him to send out other rectifications to apologize to the fact that we are not rebels, unless when the Americans fought for their independence, they were rebels. We are not Anglophones, because I've not even heard the British people being called Anglophones. We are not separatists, because we were never a part of La République du Cameroun. We are not good for federalism, because federalism itself was a fraud. When you bring two territories that are equally independent together, the only thing you can get is a confederation. So even the federation at the beginning was a fraud, and is unacceptable to the people of Ambazonia. And if we were two and equal, and they have a government, we must have a government. If they have a flag, we must have a flag. They have an army, we must have an army. They have a central bank, we must have one. They have embassies, we must have one. They can't play those games with us. Not with this generation. They've done it enough. You ask, why should we trust the Swiss-led process? Because Swiss in front of it is the only thing that belongs to Switzerland. The rest is international community. Remember what happened when we finished our debate and then gave our mandate to the Swiss. We gave them a mandate to put together a process. That's what our press release said. That's what our mandate said. You have a responsibility to put together a process, and a process takes the international community together. Dr. Akwanga mentioned a moment ago, you need guarantors, you need the international organizations that will then validate the agreements. That's why we insisted that, obviously we will see the seriousness of this process once other parties are on the table. You have the European Union on the table. The European Union, don't forget, is 27 members. So when they said they were on board, that press release came out a few hours after the release came out of Switzerland, because we had done our due diligence to find out exactly who is standing behind this process. So those 27 countries had spoken amongst themselves before the statement was issued to say the European Union backs the process that we are doing. We had a statement from the African Union, and that statement only came out because the Security Council of the African Union had consulted among themselves and had agreed that they support the process. We had the statement from the US, from the UK, where you have already been told that Canada has been financing this process, so they are on board from a long time ago. The Commonwealth was one of the few organizations that were standing out, and we went to London and we shut down the whole place until they were begging to see Comrade Sako, and when they did, they issued a statement to support it. So it is an international process that, if you go and look at the process for East Timor and the process for South Sudan, those were the same players that came together. Because you need those players. What it does is that it takes the matter away from a committee at the United Nations that's called the Fourth Committee on Decolonization that claims that our process was over. They made the same claim with respect to Eritrea and South Sudan. But the negotiations that held in Naivasha, in Kenya, for South Sudan, leading to the comprehensive peace process, allowed the players at the table to put together a path to independence, a path to self-government initially, then leading to independence. You have been told that the Norwegians are going to help, they can bring on something and some professor will come from Norway. That's about the same thing like Cohen. Nobody is coming from anywhere. You can believe that the international community is not going to withdraw the support they have given to Switzerland. Because if they withdraw it, who are they going to give it to? And why would that country accept it when it can be so easily withdrawn? You cannot look at what is your advantage and be running away. Just understand why Mr. Bia is struggling to settle this problem as a domestic matter. He's struggling because at international level, he is coming to the table as equal partner with the people of Ambazonia. And the people who are holding out right now from joining this team are giving Mr. Bia an excuse to do that. And that is why it is, in my opinion, essentially criminal to be doing what people are doing right now. There are moments when we can disagree on strategy, but we cannot disagree on Ambazonia. When the people representing our people in the East Nigeria House of Assembly, when it was time for the 6 of them to walk out of that house, they walked out in the name of Ambazonia. They did not walk out in the name of their individual selves and their movements. Should we believe in federalism? Again, I answered the question. Confederation was the minimum we should have obtained. And the reason we did not get it is because the international community that was supposed to be present at Fumban did not show up. They allowed the French to do what they had already started doing on the floor of the United Nations. In fact, the Confederation was denied by La République du Cameroon. There was only one vote, and the vote said independence for Southern Cameroons and joining with La République. La République voted against not only independence, but also joining. So there should never have been any confederation in the first place. So I would say, with much respect to the point that my sister was raising, I think that what she was basically saying was that she wants to fly the Ambazonian flag proudly, and that she feels that others may not do it as well as us. I take the point. I think it is a fair point. I think it's correct. But I also think that tonight we invited you in essentially to the Swiss house. You've heard some of us call Swiss cheese or Swiss chocolate and all that. So we wanted you to take a taste of it. We were not celebrating tonight because we cannot celebrate with our people dying. That's why we served you only water. I mean, we've been in this hall before and we've had something else to eat. But we serve water tonight because that's what we need to cross the desert. That's why we welcome our Swiss brother he welcomed us to the Swiss house so we can explain. And that's why we asked that we focus on the Swiss questions. On unity, we are continuing to work on unity. But you cannot bring people together if they don't want to come together. What we have said is that at this point, we consider ourselves unity. Because unity is only the group that wants to come together. The United States is very united to the point that we have two Democrats and Republicans fighting all the time. So it's still united in the divisions between the political parties and the political strategies. So we should not fool ourselves that because we're united, that we are not going to have the differences. What we should focus on is you have to make a decision on whether you are going to support some illusion in the future or you're going to back something on the table. If there is a better process, I'll be the first person to start campaigning for us to go after it. But we cannot chase a shadow. There is nothing else out there right now. The process for Ambazonia is at the table. Remember, if we had said no to the Swiss process, which many people were asking us to do, then Mr. Beer would have said, I told them that there was an international process, they said no. I told them that there was a domestic process and they said no. International community, what do you think I should do? And the Tamil Tiger case would have applied. They would have said to him, well, they want a military solution, give them a military solution. So my brother Mola Fike mentioned, is it Southern Cameroons or is it Ambazonia? We name ourselves. We decide. They did not ask us when they said whether we were Southern Cameroons or not. We identify ourselves by it the same way that a spouse breaking away from a relationship will keep their last name for the purposes of doing what they want to do. But when you decide that you're broken away, that we did on the 1st of October 2017, we give ourselves our name. And it will be Kunta Kinte, not Toby.
Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, everybody's a lawyer, everybody wants to be at table, everybody wants to know what's going on. We should know when it comes to these talks, there are times that there will be secrets. It's international diplomacy. There will be secrets that will never be said anywhere. For instance, our colleague, Abdul Karim, you all know what has happened to him, and we have been asked to just stay quiet. So when I say we have been asked to stay quiet, we are just asking you to stay quiet and wait. Look at Egypt and Israel. From Egypt to Israel is less than 400 miles. Yet it took God's chosen people, the Israelis, 40 years to live from Egypt to Israel. This shows us that no matter what we do, we will never have everybody on the table. ACT has been created by those who are for this process. And we have said the council. The council is there. The executive college is answerable to the council. And all those who are not yet part of ACT, when we say all those, we mean the movements that exist that we know already. Because no person is going to form any group again now and come and join, no. The movements that exist that we know, if they adhere to the process, then they will be allowed to join. But we cannot keep on waiting. The train has left the station. And if they want to join the train on the way, let them join it. If they don't want, let them stay out. But one thing is certain, we are going forward. Yes, I've heard what Comrade Boa said and what Comrade Mola asked. During the second meeting, we insisted to HD, or HD insisted that we should use the name British Southern Cameroons because That is what is found at the UN. So they don't want like to come up and say, no, it's not Ambazonia, it's not Southern Cameroon. But all of us, it's our country. When you have your child, you name the child the name you want. Nobody comes and forces a name on you. So the day we are at the UN, all of us will decide if we want to continue Ambazonia, we'll continue with Ambazonia. I know people are so excited and we don't want to hear anything. People are so disgusted, not excited. We don't want to hear anything about Cameroon. That's why people don't even want to hear Southern Cameroons. That's why all of us are jumping for Ambazonia. So, but if we at last agree someday that that's our name, that's what we should be called, that is what we'll be called.
Let me add to that. In my opinion, I think that is also correct. How we call ourselves cannot stop this process. We can call ourselves anything. It does not stop this process. The international community has converged around the idea of a negotiated settlement, and they have nominated a mediator to make it possible for both sides to come to the table. And they are doing that no matter how we call ourselves. When the rebels of Colombia, when they started fighting, they gave themselves that name. The process of negotiation that was engaged, they did not say, change your name before we get that. That's when it comes to the final document that will be signed, probably that may have to be presented to the United Nations. Then, for the purposes of reconciliation and relevance in the archives, if they insist that we sign as Southern Cameroon so that it will agree, we sign. It doesn't hamper this process in any way. It is the collective will of the people that decides how we want to call ourselves. Right now, we have decided that even though, for now, officially speaking, it's still an alias, even though there are court judgments here and there, but as far as the archives of the United Nations are concerned, you will not find the name of Ambazonia right there. So, but I want to assure you that how we call ourselves, how we merge, whatever, I prefer Ambazonia. That does not hamper the process that is engaged. So that's very important. So let us dwell on the majors. Now, why should we involve the Swiss when they have so much to do with Paul Biya? He spends how many % of his time in Switzerland? And so what? Can you name me any country that you are looking up to for help that has no relationship with Cameroon? Just think about one that you are looking up to. Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it France? Is it Germany? Is it England? Is it the United States? Tell me one country that you are looking up to. These people could just come and help us. But these people, because these people have nothing to do with Cameroon. No. The international community will help us despite their relationship with the Republic. They must take a measure of risk. Whatever investment interest a Swiss may have, I don't know how much, as compared to the other big powers. But whatever they may have, they have to do it despite their interests. So that's the risk they're also taking for us. After all, they could forget about us and continue to do whatever they're doing. Then if they have stepped in, don't you see the papers, the newspapers in Yaoundé are already attacking the Swiss? Are you not seeing them? Those papers are owned by CPDM barons. Betty Boulou, they are the ones who own those papers, especially the French papers. They are attacking the Swiss, attacking the ambassador. They want him transferred. They want something to happen so that this process will fail. But they call them whatever. It's already going on now. So whoever will help us is somebody who already has a relationship with La Republique. That's why they have an embassy in Cameroon anyway. So don't begin to look at that. If they have decided to do it, it is happening in every conflict situation. We are lucky. We are lucky that a nation wants to interpose itself as a mediator to look at the possibility of negotiation. They may or may not succeed. But somebody say, why now when we can get something better in future? Why not now? Give me a reason why we should avoid a mediator, the effort of a mediator now. Just because we fear that, you will always have a fear. You will always have fear if somebody wants to mediate. Because you don't know. So tell me the reason why not now. And what is the assurance that another country, seeing our intransigence, another country will accept to take to play that role for us? Because even if another country decides to play that role for us, and La Republique does not accept you, you are not a mediator. So the problem of the two agreeing on one, that is what makes a person a mediator. You want us, this one, the La Republique agreed primarily because Swiss can speak some French. They were going to reject it when somebody said, we can go to Sweden. They said, the Swiss said, okay, you can go to Sweden. Then they said, then the director of cabinet came back and said, Sweden does not speak French, please, you guys should go ahead. So they accepted. We agreed because of the neutrality and the history that the Swiss have in this type of matters. We agreed. So why should we avoid a mutually agreed mediator now because of the hope that we might find another? What if it takes 50 years? And let me tell you, international community, as wide as it is one. If one is disgusted with you and your attitude and your group and your ways and manners, you think that when you bullshit them, you will get another one coming for you, they will not come. You know how long we have been knocking doors trying to find a international solution to this, peaceful solution to this? Which nation has come up? This is not, I'm not trying to say that this is, heaven has come down, that it might or might not work, but give me a reason why I should not do it now, I will stop. Until we find that reason, it will be unwise for us to just reject them because we have some apprehensions.
Okay, brothers and sisters, sometimes inadequate knowledge can be misleading. I'm responding to the question regarding calling ourselves Ambazonia. We have the choice of deciding who we should call ourselves. If you go back to the whole trajectory of everything, when the Restoration Law came out, it was followed by the new social order. Following the new social order, a group of Ambazonians who were proud of who they are came up with the name Ambazonia. And that was still in the 80s. 92, the HCB 2892 was the judgment in Bamenda, in which the name of our identity is Ambazonia. This was immediately followed by the submission of the United Nations seeking a seat for the state of Ambazonia. We do not expect the United Nations to define us, we define ourselves. For anyone who has been interacting with the international community, all the truth about us, our identity, the 1961 articles that were out there, the United Nations acts more like they're not aware of them. It's our duty to come out and present that to them. We call ourselves Republic of Ambazonia, we call ourselves Ambazonia based on facts and legalities. If you don't know about this, pull a copy of the new social order and read it. The interpretation of the ICJ case of 2002 clearly describes us as Ambazonia. The Human Rights Committee judgment against Lawyer Dinka describes us as Ambazonia. There's no reason for us to want to allow somebody to define us. Is Upper Volta called Upper Volta today? No. So does it really matter what is in the United Nations archives? Okay. Thank you.
My question goes to Comrade Akwanga. I don't know how many fights we must have had, the ones that are physical among the leaders. I don't know how many struggles that we have had, Comrade Akwanga, guaranteeing us about firepower and how firepower has to take us to Buea. But today, I am so shocked to realize that Comrade Akwanga has suddenly joined the political train and is now talking politics instead of being a general. Seriously? The second question can be answered by anyone. This Switzerland, what do you call it again? Swiss-led process. Swiss-led process. I'm sorry, I never go Buea. This Swiss-led process, has it not come to give us more headache and confusion more than what we already have? Our people are dying in their numbers down there. We see them cutting short every day, every day. Well, I don't want to finish the other part of it. But guess what? Today, the images that we all have seen on ground zero, my dear, this flag is not, I'm never going to put it down. It's a lie. No matter what they do, I was born in that land, I will die in that land, no matter what it takes. Put my image anywhere. Put me to sit with Paul Biya. His flag will go down. My sister, never you call that name Cameroon again. They will, anywhere. Okay? Thank you very much.
Happy Independence Day, dear Amazonians. Thank you. My questions go to Dr. Akwanga and Comrade Bohebe, Tumfon Bohebe, sorry. I want to believe that this Swiss-led process is there is some kind of a mad rush into it, because given that in Pacific settlement of disputes, there is time for each and every party to actually build up, and we have already implanted a lot in ground zero, and there's a lot of pressure going on. And I feel that it is the right time for us to keep steam in ground zero. We are focusing so much on the Swiss-led procedure and actually putting the steam low. And I believe that if we had made it really concrete in ground zero, many mediators will come up such that we should not only believe on the Swiss as a third party. There are, at some point, we shall be consulting with many other groups. We haven't yet collaborated with groups together. And I wanted to know if this process, given that Swiss has that benevolent neutrality, is not enough. I believe that we should still reflect on this procedure. There are lots of reasons that might be coming up. I really need to know why we are so much in this rush.
Good evening, Amazonians. I will begin by thanking our frontline leaders. I know you guys have been working day and night. Coming from Canada, you are here and probably going somewhere else. I want to thank you for what you're doing to us. I have a few questions. First, the director of HD said there is a positive pressure on both parties. I'm not sure how much pressure La Republique has doing what they are doing, if there is any. The next point I have is about unity. Dr. Akwanga and Comrade Komita said the train has left the station. Yes, we know. How long are we going to keep the doors open? And the last one I have is, as Comrade Komita spoke about, a council is being formed that will be overseen by a college. As you guys fly, and you said the last time you had to drive, I know there's money involved. what is being done? Are you being financed by somebody out there in the blue? And my very last question. Dr. Okwanga said there is nobody behind us. Why is there nobody behind us? With all what the talents I see on the table, you haven't been able to get a group of countries to be behind us? I'll be interested to know. Thank you.
Very good questions.
Thank you. My name is Abuna Akwe. Just want to ask a simple question to our leaders. I'll first start by thanking them for all they do and for engaging in this process. And we call it a process. I just wanted to know if there's a timeline for this process, because every process must have a timeline. Comrade Akwanga mentioned that if La République doesn't show up, then that is it. So suppose they don't show up in Swiss, what do we do next? Do we just stand there and wait till they show up? So I just wanted to know if there's a timeline, and if there's any constraint on La République. Since we are already there, is there any constraint on them to show up? Otherwise, consequences. Thank you.
Okay, so you're taking...
We don't have time.
Yeah, so I'll just let two people, then we can get back to, so that the rest...
I want to start from the first question, though I wanted to answer the last question. Where is that? Okay, you are right there. The reason I pick up my phone is that if you permit me, I will show you something right away here. That before I came here, I heard a meeting on video with our main military base in Mato. At the same time, I have the pictures from those who are at Mbeme, which they call Kendem, where Eric Tato comes from. My brother, I am an extremist because Christ himself was one. But I am not a stupid extremist. I have spent 35 years in this struggle. I will be 50 next November, 35. I don't know how many you have put in it. I did not spend 35 years to come and just give up. The only reason I've been there for 35 years is to make sure that there is a homeland for my people. All those out there, I'm saying it, record it, all those out there who think they are extremists, they haven't started. I'm serious. If I was in their position, we would not even be where we are. An extremist who has lacked the ability to think is not going to save our people. You will dig a grave for them. This thing is not gamesmanship, it's not propaganda. When you grow up in life, you must always know how to move forward. There used to be a time, Ambassador Fossum and others will say, this is the thinking of an exuberant youth. Nobody says that any longer. Do you know when I told them about self-defense? Ask them. 1995, I said, if we don't carry arms, no one will listen to us. They all said I was mad. All of them. Even those who were with me in the SCYS said I was mad. Who are shouting self-defense today? We carried arms in 1997. And I went to prison for that. So how do you think that we were carrying arms because you think that we will fight and beat the Republic and have freedom? I'm not a madman. No, I'm not Mbelakake. I think when I said we should carry arms was because I want the international community to respond to us. That is the only language that will make them to understand that we have a problem. And that must be resolved. And that has been proven right. We marched with trees, with leaves, nobody listened to us. The day they declared war on us and we carried guns, just chakafo, everyone is talking. True or false? So let me conclude on that issue. John Garang was a military leader alongside a political leader for his people. You have to mix the two. And when you mix the two, that is when you save the people. If you separate the military from the political, you will hardly have peace. Because when the political is calling for peace, the military says, no, we will not stop. There is no order. But when that order is under one control, one command, you are sure that you can achieve a permanent positive peace. So I haven't stopped being a general. You might even call me a field marshal. In American life, they had the two. America had only 2 field marshals, but we have so many in Amazona already. One other comrade talked about the mad rush. Let me tell you something. You might be enjoying sharing pictures of our people dying. Where's that comrade? Yes, let me tell you something. The only reason I studied what I did in my doctorate was because I knew war was coming. I knew war was coming. I said it in the military tribunal on the 6th of April 1999, that war was coming if La Republic doesn't sit up and have a solution to this problem. And let me say it here again. I went to South Sudan, Southern Sudan, when they were still fighting with the SPLA. And when they started the peace treaties, and I went there to understand how these things work. The international community does not have an unlimited lifespan. The thought process is very small. If a plane falls off the sky, like the Malaysian plane, no one will talk about us again. Herman Cohen will start texting about Malaysia. Okay? So let us not sit here. By the way, we are black people. We are black. The Indonesians or the Timor-Leste people are even fair in complexion. You know that those in the Maghreb think that they are Europeans? The Algerians, the Moroccans, and the others? You saw the way they have covered only their own internal problem. Have they covered our own like that? Don't forget. You can't change your color even if you bleach it. You're a black man. So there is so much tight against us. Added to that, the international community will not sit there and marking time for you and me to be doing what we are doing. When the moment comes, when you are fighting for freedom, you must be able to study the moment to change. When you see the moment, you grab it. If you don't, I can tell you, you will never have that moment again. Because if an earthquake comes this day, like the one at Banda Aceh, in Indonesia, if there is an earthquake or there is a serious crisis, don't forget about you. Are you hearing? Are they talking about Syria? Is there a war still going on in Syria? Are they talking about Yemen? Do you know how many people have died in Yemen? They have bombed hospitals and killed children. Why are we? Are we joking? Are we jokers? How many AKs have you bought? How many AKs? All of us talking here, when I said I should buy AK, how many have we bought? Oh, we want the guys on the ground to fight. Now, I want to go to the issue of international support. I don't want to discuss on all the other issues. I have traveled the length and breadth of Africa. I believe that the Africans can do better on this issue than the Europeans because we are located in the continent of Africa. I can show you pictures, communications with heads of governments, members of top political parties in the continent, and I can tell you what they have said. No one is going to buy into your process when you first act in a reckless way, where everybody who has a phone thinks that they have become journalists, everybody who picks up a phone become communicators, where you even lie to yourself, and then you lie to your own people. It is not easy to buy international support. I even met a prime minister who told me that, listen, I don't want to die as the Russians poisoned that Russian spy in London. A prime minister in this continent of Africa is scared of coming out to make a simple statement on our behalf because he told me that, listen, my brother, they can kill you. You see the way the Russians killed that spy in London with it. They poisoned it. You saw what happened. I don't want to die like that. That's the Prime Minister talking. I don't have the guts that I entered his compound and I saw. So people are not willing to put their political capital at risk. They must first be sure of it. It is not easy. Nobody should deceive you. It is not as if we don't talk to these people. I can call you names because there are evidence. They are there. We talk to them. But what have we done to gain that support? Even when there's an opportunity that we need to grab it, we are still shooting ourselves on the foot. That is one thing Switzerland has done. They have taken a major risk. And I've told them, wherever it goes, I don't know what will happen to your confederacy. Because if it flops, that is the end of Swiss diplomacy. It is a major risk. That is why nobody wants to take the risk to say, I want to come and stand in the middle for peace between the two of you. If it fails, both sides will condemn you. You see what is going on today? La République was counting on Switzerland. Now they are attacking. Then we have Ambazonians who went to Switzerland that come and do something. They are the ones attacking. So Swiss finds itself attacked by forces, negative forces from both sides. What we are trying to do is, if we truly want to run a country, we must start showing responsibility. And that is the responsibility we are showing by being involved in this process. That does not mean we are going to drop our arms. We will never drop our arms even after the negotiated settlement. Those arms become the first military weapons for the new country.
Right behind the podium. Very quickly. I think he answered all the questions about the generals, but the non-generals are asking everyone who is not a general, please go ahead, fight. That's the only way we're going to do this. Those of us at Morris have always said non-violence. You don't say non-violence when they're attacking you. You fight back. That's what we all have to do. They asked whether this was a mad rush for all of us going into this peace process. In 1948, the Balfour Declaration gave the Palestinian people a chance to have a state. They did not take a mad rush. They waited until 2019 and they still don't have a state. In 1994, the apartheid regime told Nelson Mandela, you can walk from jail, you can build a rainbow nation. They took it. They didn't have everything. South Africa still has its problems. The poor are still marginalized. The blacks are still marginalized. But you take what you have. When Ronald Reagan asked Gorbachev to tear down the wall, the countries that knew that their opportunity for independence had come, they seized the opportunity. Because the international climate was favorable for the dislocation of the Soviet Union, they backed those countries. You will never know if the international community wants to dislocate Cameroon right now, because they will never say it openly. It is your business to make sure that that country collapses because you are not in the union. That is your business. You have to pick the moment, and this is one of such moments. So let's not think about rush, because if you don't rush, you will have no opportunity. There's only one train to take to independence, just one. We missed it in 1961. This is a new train. It is going. They asked for how long the doors are going to be open. There's somebody who gave a very beautiful answer in Toronto at our town hall. He said, if we're all going to Boya, let's meet at Moriko, we'll go up together. This train is going. If you don't want to join, meet us at Moriko, we will go up together. Is there pressure on La République? And is there pressure on us? You better believe there is pressure. The Security Council held only one session on this conflict. And it said one thing: the violence must stop. Those were the three words. All Security Council members said the violence must stop. You have to understand what it means. It is not a question they're asking us. It is not a question they're asking La République. It is an order. They have a responsibility to deal with the issues of international security. And they will deal with them if we don't show that we can solve a political problem with a political solution, if we think we must continue to apply a military solution. When Ambassador Thibault Nagy went to Capitol Hill And they asked him what was on the table. He said sanctions were on the table. And you better believe that the sanctions are not only for La République. They cannot penalize, the people of La République are not penalize people in our camp who have committed crimes and war crimes. You better be sure that those sanctions are coming. Even if they don't come now, they will come in the future, which is why everyone fighting on the ground must continue to respect international humanitarian law. ACT has begun the process of teaching international humanitarian law, including 2 commanders in the field, and there have been sessions already with them, telling them what they cannot do, what they must do to avoid war crimes. So don't fool around. I can tell you that the first mission by the rapporteur, special rapporteur on human rights, is on the ground in Ambazonia as we speak. It is the first since the beginning of the conflict. So forget Human Rights Watch covering up for La République. Forget anyone trying to cover up for Atanganji boys. Forget the women buried and resurrected at the dialogue, okay? Because all of that stuff will be found out, and the people who are running that nonsense will face criminal charges before the international system. Is there money involved? Yes, there is money involved. This thing does not run on Hail Marys. We are getting funded at this moment in this process by the Swiss government and by the Canadian government. They're not making a secret of it. We have not made a secret of it. Now, what kind of funding is involved? Well, Comrade Akonga and myself drove to Canada the other day in a beaten down Camry, Corolla. It's very luxurious when you drive in that stuff. But it works. It takes you there, brings you back, and it makes your life easy. Every time we go off, we work until 2 a.m. The money is not for us. We've never touched a per diem. We've never received pocket money. We will not accept pocket money. You all on the ground, we will not, because we are not in this to be paid. This is our own survival as well. And we are volunteers, like the people carrying guns on the ground are volunteers. We are not here to make any money for ourselves. And when a peace process gets together for every country, and you can check up the United Nations website, just ask for mediation by the United Nations, you will see that the international community puts together a funding bucket, and they call for funds which are put together in that process. When the money comes in, then they start moving all the people around. It is a long, expensive process to answer the question of whether there was a timeline. It is a long, expensive process. So imagine, for instance, in the case of Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon, that we want to debate who owns the embassies after we separate. There's a technical committee that will deal with those issues. What happens to civil servants who are currently Ambazonians who serve in that country? There will be technical committees that will take time to deal with these issues. How do we deal with people in the military, in the police force, who are Ambazonians? Would they return under what circumstances? All of those things will be part of a process. And all of those things will mean that technicians who are sitting at the table will have to be funded. The negotiators we are looking for are not going to be people who are going to try their first case on this Ambazonia thing, God forbid. We will not hire anybody who is going to do their first case for independence on Ambazonia. There are experts out there who have already defended the case of independence for countries. The firms are out there. And just to tell you the truth, we had a firm that we retained in March after we met in this hall. We retained a mediation firm on our behalf. That firm should have been part of the process of mediation with the Swiss. But we dropped our firm, which was very close to the Vatican, because we knew that if we put our firm on the table, La République was going to deny it. And if they denied our firm, they were going to buy themselves time. And they were going to deny this process, and they were going to do their national dialogue. We knew that. And so we said, we will take your mediator. And why? Because the mediator doesn't write the agreement. He told you on the video. The agreement will be written by our negotiators. It will be signed by our people. And we will not sign anything that does not agree to what our people seek, which is independence. They said, is there nobody behind us after all these many years? No country. Switzerland is behind us. The European Union is behind us. The US is behind us. The UK is behind us. These countries are not going to tell you that we recognize Amazonia. They're going to tell you we support a process that goes to settle the issue. And then, in this video, you didn't hear it, but in the video that we played in Toronto, there's an insistence on the kind of negotiation, the outcome of a negotiation. Every negotiated settlement cannot violate international law. Now think about what laws cannot be violated that are part of international law with respect to Amazonia. Our international borders cannot be violated. Resolutions by the United Nations cannot be violated. The fact that we obtain independence cannot be violated. The fact that we are a people with the right to self-determination cannot be violated. You can imagine that's why La République is so embarrassed. They cannot ask us to sign on to something that gives up our independence, that gives us our right to self-determination. So they know that that's never going to work. And that's not going to be something that will be offered at the table when they sit down there. Just last one. Oh no, the process is there, 10 line. If La République does not show up, I talk to you about sanctions. If we don't show up, I talk to you about sanctions. There will be sanctions. There will be consequences. Nobody gets away with this. You can ask Osama bin Laden or you can ask Saddam Hussein.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here because we are serious. And we have to treat everything as serious. If we are talking about democracy, this group sitting here is a majority of those groups that we have out there. And if we believe in democracy, then it means that the majority carries the vote. Okay? And if anybody is not in there, then that person is not fighting for us, fighting for himself. That should be sure. I have been in this process for 60 years. Akwanka, who is sitting there, when he came out from school as a young man, we made him head of the youth wing of the SCNC. And the way he was bubbling at that time, we knew he was either going to cause problems or get somewhere. And of course, he got into problems, but he learned from his problems. So, what I'm saying is this. We have to believe in our leaders. Because some of the things you people have asked here, just believe that they don't even know what they're doing. Because if you don't give them credit, you are not going to support them. These are very intelligent people. They have sacrificed so much. Some of you people don't see it because you have never belonged to this revolution. I've been to all three of them. Been through SDF, SCNC, everything you can say it. I've been there. And it's not an easy process. And then when you people come here and think that, oh, you have an opportunity and you miss it and you never get it again. I will tell you, in 1992, when SDF missed to go to parliament, it changed everything in Cameroon. At that time, we told Fruit, we were supposed to be the brains advising him. He refused to listen to us. And this mess is where we are today. So please, I'm advising everybody here. For you to be productive, you have to know what you're talking about. You must know the history, and you must study what they're doing. And it's not everything that can be said here or in the open. Because some of you, the people who call themselves, what do you call them, activists, they just go out and say all sorts of stupid things, which are not supposed to say in a situation like this. You people sit down there, you don't even know what they are going through, you just criticize. If you don't know, go and ask them. They are not wild dogs. You can call them. You can ask a meeting to meet them and be better educated. I just came from ground zero. The people, they are more committed than some of us big people who are sitting here talking about all the PhDs we are talking about. Your PhD means nothing if you cannot serve your people. And you cannot serve your family. So please, appealing to us. We don't have the time. Educate yourself. If you don't understand anything, call them. There's none of them I've talked to all of them. I've even talked to Ayabacho, I've talked to everybody. But you must understand where they are coming from. And if you have to advance this thing, talk to those people who are still outside the train to get into the train. Because when we get to Buawura, you are finished. And we'll get there. Because being somebody in this process, I watched that drama in Yaoundé, and I was very happy the way they had the slaps on their face. Because even those they bought to come and talk for them, any of them were talking for them. Even my friend Monzo, with whom I've been fighting all the time, when he switched gears, I was so mad. But what he was saying today was different. Peter Musonge is my classmate. We sat on the same bench for 5 years. What he said today, you didn't expect him to say it. But the truth will always prevail. That's what Foncha, the motto of KNDP was that truth shall prevail, and it will prevail. So let's pretend, when the people walked out of Enugu in 1953, I was a Snattery boy man. They never asked you. They took the decision because they thought Southern Cameroon was important. You understand? When we voted in 1961, I voted to join East Cameroon. Why? Because I was running away from the Nigerians, the Igbos who were giving us hell. We were hoping that we were going to go and meet a smaller group and form a good nation. But we didn't know what the game, the French was playing at the background. So please, get yourself informed and give these people a chance. I didn't like some of the questions here because you are querying them. They have taken a chance. And if you miss this train, you are going to get into the ravine. Thank you very much.
So just a couple of things. Nia Wamukala forgot to announce that Michel Cometa Elvis carried his back in 1953. So, so I know that many people have been watching and looking at me and wondering whether we're just going to talk like this and go. I like the question about the money part because it's very important. People think that these guys have a per diem. Some articles came out that Swiss people are asking for how many billion, and people are like, from the government. But it will be unfair for us to leave today without raising some small money even to send to buy, even if it's an AK. We'll get to that. I am really appealing. My friends, we're out of time. Just give us straight to the point. We'll take a few questions. I have t-shirts here, $25 each. There's no reason for any of these t-shirts to go back. When they finish their questions, we'll get an answer, a closing remark, and then we'll raise some small money. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Pafunde. Two things real quick. The first is that I was very happy to hear about the collegiate of leaders that is being formed, either it's ACT or SCLC. How soon will that come into fruition? Which ties with the perception that the Southern Cameroon's public has in terms of funding, the trust issue as far as funding is concerned.
My name is Oponde Fritz. I just want to find out, before any negotiation started, we don't know the preconditions. So I wanted to find out from the leaders what kind of preconditions that led them to start the pre-negotiation, because when you talk about the negotiation, you have pre-conditions. But if they have started this negotiation, what preconditions led them towards these negotiations? Thank you very much. I'm very brief.
That was really very brief. Last, not the least, my sister.
Okay. I have 3 questions. What is the success rate of this HD that we believe in them so much? Number 2, at what stage is the process right now? Number 3, while the Swiss process continues, what's the plan to continue arming Ground Zero? Because right now, Ground Zero is our leverage. If they stop, everything stops.
Correct. Now, how are we going to to reach out to the international community that are not in dispersed ranks, because this is an asset for us at this stage. We tried unity by structure. It did not work. I think now unity by purpose should work. I think that there is, when we find what unites us, we should capitalize on it. I thought that when it comes to talking to the enemy on the other side, we should naturally unite. That's a moment that everybody forgets about the differences of how to get, we disagreed on how to get there. Okay, now that in all our disagreements, we got there, and we have something to do, why should we not agree to do it? Because the disagreement was in the process of getting to the place where we are sitting with the enemy and resolving our problem. Whatever the disagreements we have had have taken us to the place where it is now the issue to sit. The process is now to work it out for us to sit. Why should we still disagree to sit or not to sit? So I think that those who are out there I still give them, cut them a slack that ignorance is a problem, a major problem. So I believe that more people are going to join the act, because we are not talking about how to get there. We are saying, since this is now a reality in the making, let us work, let us come together, because we have to constitute a team. I believe that through the act, we are going to, for the first time, present a more united front as far as the conclusion of our effort, our liberation quest is concerned. If we go back and encourage the people that believe that we will one day sit on one side, like Republic sit on the other side, tell them whatever their arguments are, tell them you have to sit. If you know you will sit, then you have to be a member there. Don't say who got the invitation and how did he come, who negotiated. No, let's go and sit. So I believe that through ACT we can achieve that objective. And we'll be presenting ourselves as we go now on matters that concern this phase. We present ourselves as one. And you will discover that they will take us serious. When they see us, like, I don't want to mention the day, in a couple of days, we will be somewhere in a major international office. When they see us, 2, 3, 4 of us, and we say we're speaking for Amazonia, it will encourage them. So they might be able to give us what we need. Brother, for the whatever contacts you have, we'll be coming to you, talking to you as a team. I hope that will change their perception that we are too divided to be serious. When will ACT go operational? We already conceived the ACT, Amazonia Coalition team, and we are really working on the details. I want to talk to you a little about the structures, because I am more strategic in my mind. This is what we conceived. We conceived that all the nationalist organizations that subscribe to a negotiated settlement for a problem. Some people don't believe in negotiation. I heard somebody saying that they will fight La Republique until they defeat them. I said, good luck. Probably if it will take 60 years, we will try and fight them and defeat them before we do it. So we believe that all those who are subscribing, they will send representatives. And those who have defense groups on the ground, they will send representatives. These representatives constitute a council. When we are talking about a council, we are not going to choose people here and there. The council is the representatives of the nationalist organizations that are subscribed. If you know this process, it will save us a lot. Then this council, who are already, many of them already attended the seminars in the preparatory talks in Switzerland, and they said, let's not go forward, let's immediately elect an executive college, which will be like the steering who really are like the executive, the management of the face of the structure. So that college was elected there by the members that were the founding signatories of the act. So the next thing now, we are going to be calling you people like these Amazonians, because we have to constitute technical committees, because negotiations will happen on different domains. Some people can negotiate national debt, but they cannot negotiate natural resources. Some people can negotiate issues concerning retirement, but they cannot negotiate others. So those committees will be constituted as time goes on. Thank you.
We have 10 minutes. And that is because we have been pleading at the background. So please, let us just try to do that, and I don't want us to leave here without raising money.
Yes, I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to talk about what matters. The comrade who said that general political, now I'm general, politics is behind. So the general is here now. There is ground zero, and there is something we need to do and do very fast. Don't ask questions. If there is anyone who wants to be involved in knowing what is going on ground zero, please take my number. I'll welcome you at any time, even at 2 a.m. I'll be ready to open my door for you. Please, I'm serious. I don't want you to put $100 here or $50. You say, where's my money? I can even show you where the stuffs are, and then you can make the command, as long as you get to the boys. So in a nutshell, I want you people to help me do something in less than 10 minutes. Let's see what we can put here on the ground for ground zero on an instant. But those who want to talk, I am ready. We can talk after we leave this hall to see going forward, whether you are involved in the hardware or not.
I just wanted to thank you for coming and to wish you happy Independence Day again. But because there's a question and we're not running away from it, I've just mentioned, please, the success rate of HD is not something that we have factored in. Because it's not because the lawyer won the case, the divorce case between A and B, that he will win the divorce case between X and Y. Our cases are completely different. So we're not building on that. We're building on what amount of international support is behind everybody. But again, I'd like to thank you. Please, those of us who live abroad, those of us who are in the diaspora, let us remember that while they live in the bush, we must live in this event that we organize, so that our people know that we are solidly behind them, and we must put a hand in the back pocket and put some money so that Ground Zero knows we support them also financially. I'll leave others to conclude in one minute each. Thank you.
Please, we are concluding. What we are trying to say is that, we are flying around, we don't know what might happen, so we might just take a group picture. It might be the last picture you might see for some of us. Don't be scared. Please, don't be afraid to die. That is when you conquer death.
Please, I'm going to the airport. You will see me. I'll be in Yaoundé tomorrow for the national dialogue.